Type in the chat, baby. The biggest W of the season and not the last one. Mets win 4-1 over the Braves in Atlanta, kicking the series off with an easy W. Mad Max wins the Max duel between himself and Max Fried. The Mets get offense. No Marte, no McNeil, no effing problem. How we feeling, Mets fan? Let's get those W's. Spam them in the chat right now. What a big win. What a massive win for this Mets team, guys. Oh, my goodness. After splitting the series against the Marlins, the Mets come out and they ball out. They get big bats, guns a-blazing. A big hit there from Alonso early on. Lindor goes 3 for 5. Brandon Nimmo looks like a stud. Luis Guillorme with a bomb. His second of the season. Second on Darren O'Day when he only has 4 in his career. What's going on? All I know is that the Mets just absolutely stole a huge W here in Atlanta. Mad Max, no run support in Cincy. He gets it early tonight, and the Mets keep the lead. They were never losing. Never. What a big win for this Mets team. They look for this series W tomorrow. This is electric. This is exactly what we have been dying for. Every Mets fan, of course, has had these matchups against the Braves on the calendar, just like Braves fans who have been talking smack the past month and a half because they've been rolling, have been saying it nonstop. And don't get me wrong, if the Mets lose the next game, then the Braves fans, they have all the right in the world to talk smack. But for the next 24 hours, we are deep diving it, baby. This is a big one. Mets back over 20 games above 500. They're back to 2.5 up in the division lead here, folks. And again, I know the division lead does not mean everything right now, but given that this is the first series this season, how poetic that the Mets lose a series, they're losing the division. They're behind the division. They're second. If the Mets win the series, they're staying afloat at first in the division. So there's been a lot on the line at this juncture halfway through the season or so. But how are we feeling, Mets fans? Oh, my goodness gracious. This feels real good. This feels electric. And in case you guys don't know, I will be deep diving everything that you need to know about tonight's W. What was right, what was wrong, which was very few, I got to say. The Mets come out without Marte one more time, without McNeil one more time. Literally their two best hitters on paper, folks, against Max effing Fried. If you look at the numbers, the matchups, McNeil has like a 360 average against Fried. Same thing with Marte, around 340 to 360. The Mets have neither of these guys. Fried, he's behind in all his counts. The Mets didn't even jump on him nearly as much as they could have, yet they still shell out the W. Let's get those W's in the chat right now. Sports Talk ATL crying like crazy, that absolute bomb. The biggest joke of a page on all of Twitter. This guy, literally, oh my goodness gracious. He doesn't know baseball if it smacked him across the face. Holy smokes. How we feeling? What a big win. I'm pumped up. I know you're pumped up. Let's get more damn W's in the chat. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. What an electric W for this Mets team, guys. Shout out to everyone for the donations. Guys, thank you so much for them. I'll be addressing them a little bit later in the show after I deep dive this game, guys. But I want to know, everyone in the chat right now, who is the biggest X factor for you in tonight's game? Because for me, it is without question the man, the myth, the legend, the future bona fide Hall of Famer soon-to-be, Mad Max effing Scherzer, comes out. That slider's disgusting, just like his last start. Full command of his arsenal. He gives up that bomb later to Austin Riley, but who gives a damn? The Mets get it right back with Luis Guillorme. This man, absolutely unhittable against a Braves lineup. Oh, yeah, they got the boom. Don't get me wrong. But just like the Phillies, Braves have that tendency. They're boom or bust. That's what we saw tonight. They lead the league in strikeouts for a reason. The Braves, what did they do tonight? They struck out. What did, I don't know, Matt Olson do tonight? Got the golden sombrero. Max Scherzer made these guys look silly, and it was hilarious seeing the amount of Braves fans trying to have a field day with us Mets fans saying, we own Mad Max Scherzer. We have just under a 4 ERA against him in his career. Well, Mad Max quite literally just had one of his best career starts against you guys. So I got to say, feels really good. Max was on his A game. The Mets got the clutch hits when they needed to, and they never looked back. This was a game, again, where the Mets could have even done more damage than what they did against Max Fried. Yeah, held the line, they held things strong, and they laid down a massive W. And this is, with my opinion, wholeheartedly probably the best win the Mets have had all season long. When you know the significance of these series, you know every game against this Braves team is going to be a battle. The Mets have 14 more games this season against Atlanta. It's safe to say that whoever wins more games against these two, they're going to more than likely win the division. So you got to win as many as possible, and I cannot give this Mets team enough credit for coming out in Atlanta. Atlanta trying to phase the Mets by trading for Robinson Cano over the past 24 hours. Cano being the only Brave, of course he is, to get on base twice today. They try to do a troll job. They try to throw out the Mets. But you know what? It didn't work out because the Mets team got the W in the end. So let's effing go. Big win. But guys, I've been ranting for the past 7 minutes. 5 minutes or so, I'm sweating bullets. I will be looking like I had a shower by the time I'm done live here. Before we get to the donations, before we get to all that fun stuff, let's talk about this Mets game. Let's talk about this Mets W. And as I'm describing it, don't hesitate to smash that like and subscribe button. If you're enjoying the post-game show live or on replay, guys, if you're watching replay, let me know your thoughts down below. How are you feeling after this massive 4-1 victory to kick off a 3-game set against the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta, no less? Chop on, baby. Keep chopping. It ain't going to help you tonight. But, guys, let's talk about this game. What happened? It was Mad Max Scherzer night, like I said. He strikes out a pair there in the first inning, folks. Max is on the money. The Mets, they have a runner on at first because WardyNYM got on with a leadoff walk. And again, Max Fried surrendered a leadoff batter to get on base in like 3 or 4 innings tonight. He just did not have it. Had multiple walks in total. Max Fried, 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 walks for a guy that's averaging just a little bit over a walk per 9 innings. 5 strikeouts. The Mets against an all-star caliber lefty right now. And Max Fried, thankfully for the Mets' sake, Fried did not have his stuff. And thankfully for the Mets, they executed again enough. It wasn't the prettiest, but they definitely did enough here. And Mad Max just held the line. He gets a pair of strikeouts. The one of 3 to 4 times he would do that in tonight's game per inning. You love to see that from Mad Max. We get to the second, and that's where the Mets finally start to get things going. And you guys, you know the drill. When the Mets score a run in the first 2 innings, you like the chances of them winning this ball game. They've done it historically, time after time again. I know that's been a little shaky with the offense. That's an understatement over the past couple months. Really month and a half, I should say. But when the Mets score within the first 2 innings, you know that is huge. You know that, okay, they're getting off on the right foot. And they did that against Max Fried here. Luis Guillorme, who is easily my number 1 star of the game. That isn't Max Scherzer, because Guillorme was an absolute stud with the bat. In case you guys don't know, Luis Guillorme entered tonight's game as one of the best batters versus Max Fried in this lineup. However, the only real reason why I didn't emphasize it was he's only had like 5 at-bats or so in his career going up against Max Fried. However, he did have right around a 400 average, so he continued to barrel the ball well. Lefty on lefty action, no problem. He gets himself an opposite field double there to lead things off in the second. Travis Jankowski with a hit by pitch, doing his best Michael Conforto impression. It was number 60 hit by pitch on the year. Jankowski, he didn't move away. He kept his elbow in there. This was Janky's first game back in the Mets lineup in over 40 days. 40 games. It's been a while. Jankowski's been out for almost 2 months with injury, but he comes out absolute stud, gets on base a couple times tonight along with strong defense as always. We didn't see too many plays in right field to begin with, but no less, Jankowski, loved what I saw from him. He just kept the Mets afloat and kept the ball rolling there with the offense. Jankowski would have hit by a pitch. Tomas Nido would strike out there, however, in the second, guys, and my apologies, I'm saying the first 2 innings. First couple innings, I should say, because as we get to the third, that is where the Mets would get their first run of the game, right? It's WardyNYM with the leadoff double, doing his best Luis Guillorme impression, folks. And then you see after that, Pete Alonso. Pete, who I got to be honest, I did not love what I saw from Pete today after this RBI double. That, of course, was huge for the Mets. Down the third baseline to give the Mets the first run of the game, to give Max Scherzer early runs. Pete looked pretty silly in his other at-bats, but thankfully he made up for it a little bit more, getting a ball in play later in this one to help add insurance runs for the Mets late, right around in the 9th inning, if I'm not mistaken, or it was the 8th, one of the two. Regardless, folks, we advance a little bit forward here, and as we get now to the bottom of the third, the first hit of the day for the Atlanta Braves is, yes, Robinson Cano, who was just traded, was raking there with the Chihuahuas, the Padres AAA affiliate. It just felt, it was so comical seeing Cano, I got to be honest, out there in the 8th spot, or the 9th spot, I should say. Cano, however, gets a base knock. It just reaches out of the glove there of, that being in Luis Guillorme. The Mets had to shift on the right field, just mishandled it, and Cano is the first base runner of the day because, of course, he is. It doesn't matter, though. Cano gets on. That's all she wrote, because then Acuna strikes out. That's the second batter of the inning. Mad Max would strike out again. He was absolute money. And in that inning, after he struck out d'Arnaud, the first batter he faced there in the third or the second, He became the 17th pitcher now in MLB history when it comes to strikeouts. 17th all-time now, and Mad Max is also in the top 5 club in all MLB's history with their starters with a certain amount of games with at least 10 strikeouts. Or pardon me, not 10 strikeouts, I shouldn't say that. Or at least, I actually don't have to look back at that stat. I know it's a good amount because Scherzer ended tonight with 9, not 10. However, guys, we get there to the 4th inning. Travis Jankowski walks. He gets on base for the 2nd time tonight. Francisco Lindor with one of his 3 base knocks. Pete Alonso with a strikeout. Was a little frustrating there. Pete struck out on a pitch that was by no means near the plate, and that would do it there in the 4th. So the Mets, they had an opportunity. They didn't do anything with it. Thankfully, the Mets would not blow anything because in the bottom of the 4th, what did Mad Max do for another inning? For the 3rd inning in this game already, he strikes out a pair and shuts them down in a nice clean one in the 4th. Then we get to the 5th inning, folks. So the Mets, a little bit more here. They're trying to tack on, but again, still struggling with runners in scoring position just a little bit. Mark Canha with a walk. Luis Guillorme with a walk because Fried really struggled with his command, as I discussed. J.D. Davis with the most fluky double play was like a little bloop, however. Somehow lands and gets the Cano glove, and then they're able to get the runner out there in Canha between 2nd and 3rd base. That ends the inning, folks. And then as we get to the 7th, advancing things later in this one, this is where the Mets are able to at least try their best to do some damage. However, they once again leave guys stranded. Francisco Lindor gets himself a base knock, another base knock, an infield base knock for him, no less. Pete Alonso with a double play, Mark Canha with a single, and Escobar flies out. Again, the Mets had opportunities where runners in scoring position tonight, folks, but thankfully, Mad Max and the strong pitching along with some clutch hits when the Mets need it most, because as we get now to the 8th inning, folks, the bottom of the 7th, Austin Riley, right? Mad Max is looking clean this entire game, only surrendered 1 hit to this point. Austin Riley takes him deep with a no-doubt piss missile to left. It's a solo bomb. Riley has, 24, 25 bombs in the year. He's been not just a bad killer, but he has been one of the better sluggers in all baseball the past couple years. Huge tip to the captain. We know this Braves team, they lead the NL in home runs for a reason. They are absolute force. But because of that home run ball, they're also very swing and miss. Right after that, Ozuna would get himself a double down the line, and it would have a runner in scoring position still, a chance for the Braves to tack on. However, Eddie Rosario strikes out. Mad Max is pumped up. That's the final batter he faces tonight, and the Mets get out of that inning, still with the lead 2-1, and then Luis Guillorme, the legend himself, the man on the thumbnail, if you're watching this video more than likely, takes a no-doubt piss missile's 2nd career home run against Darren O'Day. He's had not just Fried's number, but he's had O'Day's number. I guess Snicker didn't understand the playbook on that one. No doubt to right, and that gives the Mets a 3-1 lead at that point, folks. We get to the bottom of the 8th. Robinson Cano with his 2nd base knock of the day. Dead center off of Adam Ottavino comes in. Then you see a double there for Acuna, but thankfully, because again, it's Robinson Cano, this man doesn't know how to base run if it smacked him across the face. He probably had a side sticker just after each of his swings. I mean, I would too if I'm an old roided up man that simply cannot hit anymore the way that he has done or lack thereof to this point. Swanson grounds out. Dansby Swanson, who again, like a lot of other Braves hitters in this lineup, have been so good for the past 2 months. They look silly today, and that was thanks here to Adam Ottavino as well, getting that crucial ground out to get out of the 8th inning unscathed, folks. Then in the 9th, Brandon Nimmo, what does he do? He gets on base. He gets himself a nice walk there. Francisco Lindor with an Oppo single there. A beautiful hit and run play. It was a little Oppo bloop single is what it looked like, but Nimmo was running. He got runners on the corners. 1st and 3rd, and Pete Alonso again. It was so funny. They did not play in on Alonso there. So Alonso gets the RBI ground out, gives the Mets an insurance run. I don't know what Snicker was thinking. I really don't. I don't know. As Gary was saying, maybe they were banking on the likes of potentially getting a big 9th inning. However, even Edwin Diaz on his 3rd straight day of being out on the mound, he looked his best yet against these Braves hitters. Some of their best hitters in all their lineup. Absolutely silly. 3 up, 3 down, striking them all out with the slider. Just disgusting stuff from Edwin Diaz. He is the best reliever here in the NL, arguably the best in baseball. Josh Hader, how you doing? Kick it to the can. Edwin Diaz, the newly crowned all-star here in 2022, puts the Mets on top with absolutely 0 problems. And that is how your Mets team wins game 1 of the 3-game set here against the Atlanta Braves, folks, 4-1. I see a bunch of donations. I see hype in the chat. Let's get some more hype. Let's get some more W's for this Mets team that absolutely balled out. What a massive win for them again today, folks. But guys, before I advance a little bit forward, I have to talk about Max Scherzer and what he was tonight. Because what was Mad Max? He was simply unhittable, and you have that slider to thank. Really, the only bad pitch that Mad Max has tonight was one placement. It was actually two hangers, but the main one was he threw a changeup right down the dick. Complete hanger there to Riley, and that's how they got their first and only run in the game. No problem. However, Mad Max's final line, 7 strong, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 0 walks, 9 Ks, 93 pitches. Guys, Mad Max Scherzer is the first New York Met in New York Mets history, folks. Listen to this. Max Scherzer and his, let me get the stat here, folks. Let me see if I screenshot it. Yes, Max Scherzer has set a Mets club record for highest strikeout percentage for the first 10 starts with his team. 33.2%. Record was previously held by Doc Gooden with 32.4 back in Doc's first year with the Mets. So Mad Max, even at the age of 37, a fine wine. Swing and miss rate is ridiculous. Max struck out, 11 in his last start, and if coming back against Cincinnati, he strikes out 9 tonight. My man already with 20 Ks or so through his first 2 starts back off the IL. How you doing? But Max and this Arsenal, you got the 5-pitch mix here. You got the 4-seam fastball, 44% of his pitch mix tonight, folks. Topping out 97 on the heater, minimum 93, average 95 on the velo. Max worked the placement perfectly. Every single time that he was working that slider, he knew to go up and in, especially with the fastball, to throw them off, brush them off the plate a little bit, and then make them look silly either with the slider down and away or to lefty hitters like Olsen, making sure that they're going really down and in on them where they have no chance of trying to pull that bad boy. This slider, my favorite pitch for Mad Max tonight, folks, and I want to know what your thoughts are about Max's slider. It just was absolutely disgusting, guys. Max, let's talk about the slider. 27% of his pitch mix tonight, folks. He had 11 swings, 5 whiffs for a 45% swing and miss rate. Guys, disgusting stuff is what Mad Max was. 87 where he topped down the velo. 84 was a minimum. 86 was the average. Then you get to the changeup, which again had that hanger. It happens though. It wasn't his best pitch tonight, but he was still working it well. 14% of his arsenal, topped out 87 on the velo. The minimum 84, the average 85. The cutter 10% threw that in there. Had a nice mix going with the cutter. 91 where he topped out. 87, 88 I should say is the minimum, and the average was 89. And the curveball, just threw a nice couple curve pieces in there when the time was needed. 5% of his arsenal. 77 where he topped out. 75 was the minimum, and 75 was the average, guys. My goodness, Mad Max Scherzer, how the hell are you doing? What a beautiful outing for Max. Again, the Mets strategically did not pitch Mad Max Scherzer when, if you guys don't remember, guys, he was scheduled to pitch yesterday in the Sunday game against Sandy Alcantara. However, in the Mets, they have Taijuan Walker go up. Ty pitched an absolute gem. It wasn't because of Alcantara, for instance, that I shouldn't say this. It wasn't because of Ty that the Mets lost in that series finale. It was a lack of offense, right? So thankfully, the Mets trusted Max, even going in Atlanta, a team that he has not fared nearly to the same degree well as other teams that he's faced in the NL East in his career. No less, they place him in Atlanta, and he pitches an absolute gem. Back-to-back gem starts for Max Scherzer. He has a season ERA right now at 2.15. What beautiful stuff. I mean, I'm raving about this man. He is looking like not just a fine wine, but he has been a saving grace to this team. This is exactly what the Mets team has been needing, folks. They've been needing dominant pitching that can go deep into games, but also able to score a couple runs early. Now, the biggest issue that the Mets have had in recent games where they've had strong pitching from Taijuan Walker, and even guys like David Pearson will be on the bump looking for the series dub for the Mets tomorrow, facing off against the young right-handed stud, the flamethrower, and Spencer Strider, no less. That's going to be a crazy good matchup. I'm excited for that. However, what the Mets haven't done so well when they've had Ty and David really cooking in recent starts is they haven't scored runs early. And something that we've seen with this Mets team, when they're not scoring runs early, the odds of them winning just aren't to the same degree. They aren't to the same magnitude. However, when you score one there at minimum in the third, and then you tack on a little bit later in this game, that helps give a reassurance to Max that he can deal with the lead and maybe a little bit more comfortable than, say, pressing too much if it stays a tied ball game the entire outing that he's out there, inning by inning. It didn't take long for the Max to get the lead, and that was big for him, and I'm really, really happy to see what he was able to do for the Mets tonight, folks. But guys, I got it. I'm so pumped up about this W. I'm going to keep raving about it, as should every single one of you guys. Just give me 1 second. I'm checking for any updates, making sure that I'm not missing anything, and then we'll go from there, everybody. All right, folks, now let's get those donations, those comments, those questions, and concerns. We got a lot to talk about from tonight's W, guys. We may take some live callers tonight as well. We'll see. I don't exactly know for certain. Depends on how I'm feeling. Again, I've had heart palpitations this entire day leading up to this game, pounding caffeine during the game, making sure I'm pumped up and locked into tonight's outing. But again, guys, let's get in the donations. So for everyone that's watching this on replay, this is where I'm going to cut things off. So make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How you feeling once again after this big Mets dub? Who is your biggest standout? Because for me, when you look at the Mets top 5, Max Scherzer's number 1. Luis Gourmet 2 for 4 with the home run, the double, the 2 RBIs, the run scored. Pete Alonso, how you doing? Not the best night, but surely not the worst. Still got the Mets some crucial RBIs to help secure this victory. 1 for 5 with the double, the RBI ground out, the RBI double, I should say as well. The run scored. Number 4 star, I got to go with Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo 1 for 3. With the double, the 2 runs scored, the 2 walks, getting on base at minimum 3 times tonight was huge for this Mets team. He looked great, really held himself and was composed against Max Fried early in this one. And then Edwin Diaz, I was debating between Lindor, but even with Lindor going 3 for 5, I have to give it to Edwin. For Edwin to come out, guys, literally on 3 days straight now where he has been on the bump and to strike out the side like it's nothing. He has to be my number 5 star. So honorable mentions, of course, goes to the likes of Lindor and maybe another one, but I got to give it here to Edwin Diaz. Again, he's so good. He's unhittable, but it's the fact that Diaz had his best outing of his 3-game stretch now. Like, can we take a moment to appreciate that? Normally, when you're pitching for 3 straight days, you might be a little gassed. You might not be on the money, especially him going from home to the road. That does not stop Edwin Diaz from getting a massive save, one of his biggest ones of the year, purely dominant, making these Braves hitters, again, some of the best hitters in all of the league, look absolutely stupid. We take that to the bank. That's where he's top 5. And looking through the lineup once, guys, the Mets had 9 hits to the Braves 5. Mets expected batting average 257 to the Braves 202. Braves, again, a lot of swing misses. To be exact, guys, the Braves struck out a total of 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Braves struck out 13 times tonight, folks. Again, they're doing their best Phillies impression. When they make contact, they're barreling that bad boy. But when there's a lot of swing and miss in there. When you have a lot of home runs, naturally you're going to have a lot of strikeouts. They go hand in hand, and that's what we saw. And when you face great pitching, odds are you're going to fall more in that strikeout category than you are that home run category. And thankfully, that benefited the Mets tonight on full display. We talked about Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, Marcano 1 for 3 with 2 walks. Ken had a solid day at the plate, got on base a bunch. You had Eduardo Escobar 1 for 5 with a bloop single that had the bases juiced. Unfortunately, the Mets weren't able to do too much with that situation. However, Luis Gourmet, an absolute stud. JD Davis did not look good today at all. JD, I want to see more of that JD we saw against Miami where he had 5 RBIs and a grand salami. However, he struck out on a cutter literally at his freaking head. And all these other things, JD was 0 for 4. Jankowski 0 for 2, but did get on base twice, so we'll take that. Tomas Nido 0 for 4. Adam Ottavino, 1 aim pitch, 2 hits surrender, but was able to get out of that jam with a strikeout. And then Edwin Diaz with the save. So, guys, everyone in the live show, let's get to all your comments, questions, and concerns. But for people on replay, this is where we're cutting things off.